Japan rather. Do you think America should try to actively get back into it if we can get the concessions we need?
I'm not sure. I think the president was a little clear earlier when he said reciprocal is a word that we might want to use with more countries beyond Japan. I think he's still going to favor the approach of getting bilateral deals with a number of countries that were previously part of the TPP arrangement. South Korea wants in, that people want to get in it, but I just don't necessarily think allowing the countries to organize in a bloc against potentially our interest is the right move.
Do you feel like, though, since we and it was only signed, just last month, and even within Japan, there's pushback. The opposition party, the Abe, does not like this plan either. So if he's on his way out, this could be a whole different ball of wax. That's currently the largest economy there. Without Japan and the United States, I think it's a farce. But any chance then, having said that we can get some news on that today. By the way, we see Sarah Sanders just walking in now, so it seems like President Trump should be in very shortly.
You know, a lot of these deals like the TPP, I think, look good on paper, look good on the world stage, look good to sort of the Obama legacy of doing big things. They don't look good in middle America, and I imagine that for a lot of people in the rural parts of Japan and other parts of Japan, I'm not an expert by any means, but I imagine there's people in Japan who feel disenfranchised as well.
Michael, as we await the two world leaders to come onto the stage, I got to get real quick on you on this this trade policy.
Right.
At home is being told as being hurting farmers and hurting everyone else. You know, we always talk, well, the media at least talks about all the negatives with respect to trying to renegotiate these deals, but they really haven't worked. They haven't really worked the best for America, have they?
No, I'm with you on this, Charles. There may be some small pain in some sectors, but the most important thing, I think, is what Larry Kudlow said yesterday, that we're beginning to see the formation worldwide of a coalition of the willing against China in terms of trade, technology theft, these various issues. TPP would have helped a little bit with that, but frankly, what's happening, what Larry Kudlow is saying, is a much bigger movement. And he says, and I agree with him, we hope the Chinese will take this seriously. They're the ones who need to make some pretty serious concessions. And there's a chance that will happen, frankly, because there are reformers in China who want to open up the country.
Well, Michael, what can we hear tonight from this joint press conference that would be aimed specifically as a message between the United States and Japan at China?
Well, the most important thing would be if it sounds like Prime Minister Abe is a better friend to President Trump than President Xi. As you know, yesterday, President Trump went out of his way to talk about how generous President Xi is and to kind of praise him. There's been a historical rivalry for hundreds of years between Japan and China. So I'm hoping that this press conference will not turn into an opportunity to praise the Chinese and praise President Xi, although in fact Xi has helped with the North Korea sanctions. He has tightened up the border, a lot less goes through, so the president is correct in saying that.
Right.
But
Peter,
we want to be closer to Japan, I think, than to China.
Peter, what's the #1 takeaway that you hope to hear, that we'll be hearing momentarily?
I think the importance of the alliance and the relationship, because it is, I mean, there are some issues in it, Charles, as we pointed out, but critical that we see solidarity between the U.S. and Japan. This is a very important relationship, one of America's most important alliances.
First Lady Melania Trump just now walking out with the Prime Minister of Japan's wife, Abe's wife as well. So we should be starting very shortly. I didn't mean to cut you off, Peter, but
okay.
We're getting very, very close there.
I agree with Peter, by the way.
Okay, yeah. And so it doesn't seem like these deals could be hard. Vice President Pence and his wife coming out as well, so everyone standing up will be starting very shortly. It doesn't seem, gentlemen, that this should be a hard, that we shouldn't get something concrete tonight, something to and I think someone predicted perhaps America announcing that they removed the steel tariffs. Maybe we'll get increased automobile imports in Japan as a return for that. Both countries saying something to the effect that they're united not only against North Korea's military aggression, but also perhaps against China and its unfair trade policies. I mean, would that perhaps, Peter, be the ultimate that we can get tonight?
Sure, I think one of the other things that you passed over, is the abductee issue for the Japanese. But you touched on the main points there. Abe would really like to say that President Trump, since the Japanese are not part of these talks, remember in the past we had the 6-party talks under the Bush administration, which included Japan, South Korea, Russia, China, United States. But I think that, if he could say something about the abductees, these people that the North Koreans kidnapped, and a resolution to that issue. That would be big
Right.
for Abe in Japan.
Real quick, Joe, domestically here at home, for Trump voters, what do they want to hear as we see President Trump and Japan's Prime Minister Abe approach? Let's take a listen.